But you know what's the most disheartening about that though? Is when you have security staff going around telling people that we're just professional agitators. Now that tends to break my bone right there.
Gotcha. I understand.
Hello there.
I know you guys are about to close. This is one of our amazing assistants here at the
You
mayor's
can have a call
office.
me in the
We'll
front.
just call
Yeah,
them.
just call me.
Okay.
No, they'll help.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Now I'm always like, me myself personally. We've got to dial the 9. Hi there, it's Neema Pickett. How are you? Down from OEI downstairs. Hi, I know you guys are about to close up. We had a couple of gentlemen who had met with Doug Small but hadn't had an opportunity to follow up with him. So I just wondered if he was still in the office or if he's already out for the day.
Is Noah here?
Oh, or also, is Noah in or no? Okay, that would be great. Yes, what are your gentlemen's names again? I'm sorry.
Let's and Brick.
Let's and Brick. Their names are Let's and Brick. And Brick. Yes, 2 separate names. So we're just out in the, I know, I'm sorry. We're out in the lobby, so I'll just wait here. Okay. Oh, okay, gotcha, thank you. She's the only one on the phone.
Oh, goodness.
It is a gorgeous day today for sure. I was like, yay, we have warm weather.
Yeah, I'm glad it's warm enough.
Me
It's
too.
really,
Well, we're here to speak at the city council meeting, but they know they don't start that public comment right away. so.
Right, yeah.
takes a while. Yeah.
Yeah, I was telling Daniel, I mean, I like the paperwork because if it's in my hand, it can't disappear. But the electronic stuff,
You can always have a copy.
Can
You don't know
disappear.
where that paper trail can go.
yeah, the electronic stuff, there's possibility of it disappearing. I don't like that. I like the paper. That's the way my dad was. He always told me, he said, job's not done until the paperwork's finished.
Until it's all done.
That's right.
That was a very good lesson your father taught.
Yeah.
Is he still on this side of the earth?
Yes.
That's fortunate.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, papas and mamas hold up the world. And I always hope that I can make my parents proud as well. We're on hold. Go figure. I was just enjoying the view.
Yeah, I'm looking out across the other side. It's
Yeah, I'm just
beautiful.
waiting for the elevator
Such a
to,
great view.
I'm just waiting for the elevator to open with 5 more cops trying to tell us we gotta be trespassed because we got a camera here.
We're gonna manifest positive and good things, and that civic voices are heard, and that we can get solutions.
I like that.
I am, yes, ma'am. Okay. Yeah, they were at our office to follow up about printed forms for different needs that community may have when they want to file with the Civil Rights Office for 4th Amendment, and had visited a couple weeks ago and didn't get responses, and so they came by today. So we'll just wait in the lobby. So basically, electronically, they were emailed the forms that you would, I'm sorry, and I didn't bring it up with me, but that you would fill out for having an appointment with civic engagement and, or excuse me, I'm sorry, the civil rights. And so they wanted to be able to follow up with who they spoke to before, which would have been Doug or Noah. Okay. Okay. All right. We'll have a seat. Thanks.
Somebody's gonna come out, I suppose.
They're on their way. Unlike we get to look at the history of the city while we wait. But anyhow.
Cool.
Oh goodness. Oh. Yeah.
This particular request through the Civil Rights Office is pretty much just another leg of the monster that we found here.
Yeah. You know, I definitely echo that.
You work with the Public Defender's Office much?
No, I
Okay.
really don't. I haven't had much experience.
Well,
there.
what if you were a private citizen and you had a friend of yours that picked up a charge for whatever, some kind of a criminal charge that they didn't do, and you went to the Civil Rights Office and you took your camera with you because you wanted to record your interaction with the government, and the Public Defender's director would come out and begin to talk with you and see your camera and tell you that you had to leave the office. And then while she's telling you you have to leave, you get assaulted by one of the clients that's already there. You ask them to call the police and they won't. You call the police and they want you to leave that public area while you're calling the police, right? And the police come.
They don't charge the guy with the assault. They hide him in the back. And then trespass you from the public space.
Yeah. Well, the first thing that I always say is that it's really good to pre-schedule with like what are the outcomes that you expect, you know, lining out a little bit of an agenda and making sure that all parties are like agreeing to, you know, we're going to be recording this on our side, or I think that always helps to diffuse people's like questions around what could be transpiring, or that everyone's above board and transparent.
Yeah, but here's the thing about that. You know, so we live in America, it's the United States, right?
Oh,
It's the
Noah.
Oh, you've met Noah.
Yeah.
Noah. I like Noah.
Hi, Noah.
How's it going?
What's up,
I hope you can get
Sorry, we
overtime
don't have
for
him
today.
in there. Would you like this one?
No, I'll pull up my own chair. How's it going?
See you again.
A lot of things have happened, Noah, since we saw you last. I don't know if Doug filled you in on any of them, but something, we'll start out with we'll go back in history and we'll work our way up.
Okay.
Around, I think it was like the 3rd of January, we were following up on requests to make that appointment with the chief of police. Okay? We had already been to the clerk's office there, records office, on two or three separate occasions within a week or two apart from each other. Gave the information to be contacted about a time. We were originally told, like we were told here, well, you can go online and fill out a form, and we said we don't want to work that way. We're here at the police department. We want to speak to somebody to get that appointment. We went through the whole process. We actually met with the chief of security. He came out. We had a nice cordial conversation with him. He's the doorman. He's the only one. He's the head doorman to come out to deal with us. When we asked him to make the appointment, it was not within his power to do. So we told him that, we get to ask again. So we went into the police station, my partner here, pushed the button. Saw 5 people in that glassed-in area just look at us like we had three eyes. Push the button again. Push the button again. I'm not afraid to admit it. We pushed that button 300 times. That button's for us. All we can do is assume that nobody's hearing it. Well, finally, a police officer comes out.
Officer Romkowski.
Right. Now, Mr. Romkowski seems to think that he can bark orders at people in a public place, telling us that we're somehow creating a disturbance by pushing a button that's provided to the public to push. And wanted to detain us because he didn't like being redressed by people that understand their rights. So, the supervisor comes, another person very dismissive.
Sergeant Martinez. Mrs. Sergeant Martinez.
She's telling us that we have to leave that police station or we're gonna be arrested for trespassing.
So, under threat of arrest, no problem. We leave.
So you abided by what she had?
I mean, under threat of arrest. Well, I mean, it's either, be in the public space where we're allowed to be, taking care of our business no less, or be arrested. Yeah, I'd rather not be in torture cuffs.
So we left. And I mentioned to him, let's go over to the mayor's office and see if because we hadn't brought you up to date on a couple other things that are really minor at this point.
So we come over here,
Yeah.
up the elevator, in, use the phone, call back. Somebody's going to be coming out.
Elevator opens, 4 cops telling us that we need to give them their ID or we're going to arrest us. And they gave us a written trespass warning
From the APD.
from the AP, not here, from APD.
They followed us, stalked us over to here to write a trespass from the place where we had already left. And then once they did that, which we were live streaming the whole time, after they did that, they decided they were going to trespass us from here as we're waiting for someone to come out to speak to us.
Doug came
And
out,
of
saw
course,
the cops. Well, probably today's not going to be a good time to
Yeah.
talk. But then I mentioned, I said, well, I see that you're trespassing us from 600 Roma. I don't think this is 600 Roma. Well, you're leaving today too, So we were pretty much told that we were and they wouldn't tell us how long we were trespassed for at either location, right? So it's kind of like getting a traffic ticket, not knowing what to do about it.
yeah,
Just
it's
have to worry about
it's
getting
not
picked up.
written on the trespass how long it is. They said 90 days. Normally you would write it down.
And tell us what our
I'm
recourse is.
I'm
for
kind
it.
of wondering though. I mean, here's the thing, and I don't know if you guys would know this. Do you know if you can be trespassed from a public place?
For not doing anything illegal or committing a
I
crime.
mean, can you be trespassed from a public place?
So your question was in terms of they gave you a warning for was it 90 days, excuse me?
We don't know.
January 3rd?
We don't know.
It was a written trespass warning, right? Yeah, from APD headquarters, which is same as Bernalillo Sheriff, which is 400 Roman, the entire block of a public space. Yeah.
Because I'm not able to see the document, but did it also include contact information who you would follow up with if you had questions? or
Give us an
concerns?
incident
Nope.
number and a report number at the top and who,
Yeah.
and
It looked pretty fake, actually. It looked pretty fake, like
Because-
like
What was
one of those
given
fake
to you?
trespass warnings.
is the city of Albuquerque a proprietor?
I've received trespass warning from another location. Looked exactly the same. So I'm curious as to okay, and that was a private place. That was a private place, and that's not a problem. There's another problem there that happened, and it shouldn't even be a thing. I mean that place has security that's out of their frickin' mind that doesn't know the difference between a patron and I guess what they assumed was a homeless bum. They looked at me and definitely discriminated against me, pulled up on me. Now, when it comes to the public space, though, APD is a public space, right?
So what I would suggest is always, if
I
for
mean,
example,
is that question answerable?
I feel like it is. It's
Would make
definitely
sense to me.
something
Yeah.
that you could get an answer to, and that
Taxpayers pay for it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
If
be like
if
coming-
I might make a suggestion, though.
Yeah.
If you don't, is that okay with you?
Well, I mean, suggestions are welcome. Here's the thing about it, though. I do know what I am allowed to do.
If I get illegally trespassed from the police department for, number one, I'm not saying that pushing the button was anything wrong to do. Some people might consider that some kind of a overuse of a button that's provided to the public to get some assistance. However, I never pushed any buttons.
What's he trespass for? You know, he didn't push any buttons. He was just standing there. I pushed the button, and I pushed it, and nobody came to the door. And then I pushed it,
So
and
when
nobody
I come
came to
in
the
here-
door.
when I
And I
come
pushed
here
it,
to
and nobody
redress
came
my
to the door.
government about what just happened to me with the police, and now I can't.
Yeah. How am I supposed to get records?
Yeah.
How am I supposed to put in a complaint to the police?
So
Who do I go to at this
One
point? Who
question
am I supposed to go to when somebody assaults me?
Right. Did you actually call back to find out the information that you needed to know? Because you said
Hell no. I'm terrified of these people.
You weren't here. We were speaking to her about the.
They have guns and badges and they kill
Defender's
people on the
office.
street. You know who Solo was.
He picked up. He was at a mall and had his scooter parked on the corner underneath the security camera, so it'd be less apt to be stolen. And had it chained up to one of the pipes they had there. It's 5 minutes to 8. He's walked out of the mall. He's had his slice of pizza. He's bought whatever he was buying there, and he's at his scooter, power scooter. And some security guard that's probably just had a bad day. Lord knows what he was doing in his vehicle, driving around the mall all day, but seemed to want to pick on him at standing there his little scooter, telling him that he had to leave. And he says, well, I'm leaving. Well, that's no good. You got to leave now. And then you know how
I don't have a
people that
teleportation
understand their
device,
rights
you know?
will be able to talk back to somebody. And he didn't like to be talked back to. In fact, he didn't like to be talked back to so much that
He didn't like that I was asking
he
for
put
his
hands-
supervisor.
He put his hands on his mace. Now, it just so happens, I don't think he expected someone else to have hands on their mace.
Yeah, I had mace on me too. So of course I'm gonna unclip my
Now
mace
the
just like he
police
unclipped
come,
his mace.
Lord knows what was said to the police by the security guards that made him look to be a fool. But now there's supposedly some assault that occurred to this individual that this individual is supposed to have done to the security guard. Well, little do they know it's all on camera, and it's pretty clear. You can hear the click of his mace, and then you can hear him talk on the radio, then you can hear the jingle of his keys, and then he says he's pulled out his vase, I'm pulling out mine. Well, he already had his, you know what I mean?
He had already unclipped it.
So if the police are gonna charge him with assault, well, we've already we've already made the report for the security guard, and we've got all the information on that. But that's, I like to shop in Albuquerque. I don't expect security guards. It's out of your control, but in the same realm of things, you've got people that see.
This isn't the
Private
first time
property,
that
you can be
security
trespassed.
guards.
We understand that, but you did.
Did-
I took it upon myself to go there with my camera, walked them all, went to the security office. One of the older men that came out there that night, I asked him, I said, I'm new to the mall. I don't want to break any of your rules. Can you tell me about what's this? You got it written down here. Extended loitering. How do you determine that? Well, we got cameras here, and even though we see somebody sitting for more than 30 minutes, we'll probably go up to them and tell them that, unless you buy something, you're going to have to leave. I said, oh, okay. So what do you do? So, well, we have to tell them what they did, and then we trespass them. I said, well, that's all I needed to hear. Because on tape, this security guard just runs up to him and tells him he's got to leave and wouldn't even tell him why he's got to leave.
Well, this isn't the first time we've had trouble with security in this city. So obviously, there's the statute where security's supposed to have their names and IDs visible and that sort of thing, right? So if it's at night, right, then I can't see it, so I'm going to ask for it. The guy doesn't want to provide his name and ID. But the thing is, all of that private stuff aside, now also we're dealing with public spaces.
Yeah, let me get into this one for you. So now he's picked up this charge, supposedly, of assaulting a security guard, where he's got 3 people that are just going to be a witness against him, but the camera doesn't lie, right?
Yeah, thank God I had my camera that
Because
day.
he's got these charges, we went to the public defender's office over here. We walked in. We went to the counter. Of course, I've got my camera going because I want to enter, I'm in a government place in a public space in that public defender's office. She's asking us to provide our information so that they look up on the computer, which we gladly did at this point, right? She said, I don't have a record of your information yet. You want to give us more information, we'll call you when we get it. I said, no, we'll check back later. But then I noticed there was a sign on the glass that looked like someone had just printed it up and scotch taped it to the thing. It said something about an application for the public defender.
It's $10.
Non-refundable, something like that.
Now, how are you going to pay for that if you're indigent?
Right? So I asked the gal at the counter, I says, is that statute or is that policy?
She said it was statute.
Yeah, she said it was statute.
Yeah, and I asked her to print out the statute. Show me the statute. Couldn't do that. Couldn't do that. So now they switched that story up to it's policy. And then they decide, oh, you got to leave because you got a camera. And then we're like, well, you know, as far as that goes, I still can be here. That's not a problem. Well, the public defender, the district defender, she comes in and she starts telling me that I got to go and starts barking orders at me. And I told her, don't bark orders at me. And she says, you can't say that. That's offensive language. What offensive language do we have here in this country? How is it that the public defender of all people doesn't understand that we have the right to free speech in this country? And then,
Now that's the director over the public works.
public defender.
Yeah, public defender.
So I'm gonna have to ask you to turn these off because we have a client in the lobby and they're entitled to privacy as well.
Take them
Do
to
you
a
wanna
private
leave them on, we
space.
can go outside? Yes, this is, and it's actually a rented space, so it does
You're
matter.
gonna lose the
because
federal
they
money.
are-
Man, you work for the public defender's
Correct.
office, you better know better.
I do know better, and there, if there's no clients available.
I really would hate to
you're
see your
just being
name appear in a
argumentative.
lawsuit, man. Just please trust me, it's a camera, it doesn't only shoot the different. Yeah.
So I'm
We
not
haven't
gonna
posted
argue
this yet,
for
but we
you.
intend to.
You either.
Laws with you. So what are you needing today? Do you have a case? Do we represent you in a case? No. No, okay. Okay, so I'm gonna have to ask you to leave the premises? Yes, yes.
You're asking.
I'm
Can I have your
asking.
business card, please? And
Yes,
your name
you
of
can.
your supervisor.
Yes, okay, and why are you declining? Why are you trying to be adversarial here? Because you're in our office. This is our office, and we have a right
You haven't even been
to be
interested
safe.
in why I'm here at all.
Well, I asked you if you had a case, you said no.
You don't seem interested, you don't know what you're talking
I
about.
asked if you had a case and you said no. So if you don't have a
didn't say
case, you
no.
don't belong here.
I didn't say no.
She said no.
She said.
Right,
She
did
said.
you
So
give her your name
hearsay.
and your address?
So you're going by hearsay.
It's not hearsay, she's right here.
Okay. Is she?
She's right here, and she looked up your name,
But you
right?
said she said. That's called
Did
hearsay.
you give her your name?
I did give her.
Okay.
See,
did
these
you
don't
look up?
lie, these don't lie, man.
So she looked up your name?
Can we have a real conversation?
Sure.
Instead of you just barking orders at
I'm
me?
not barking orders and don't use, that's offensive language.
Oh, really?
I'm not a dog.
Is it?
Yes.
Yo, why don't you get these people up out of here, yo? Why don't y'all bounce?
He was assaulted.
I'll-
Why don't y'all bounce? Sir, could you just calm
It's
down?
fine.
You're being disorderly, sir.
That's assault. Unwarranted touching.
Call the police, we've been assaulted.
And then he's still aggressive.
She says no. She says she's not going to call the police.
Public defender's office is not gonna call the police. In fact, they harbored him.
Yeah, they hit him.
911.
They told him, go to the back, go to the back, go to the back.
He's aggressive.
There's no back
He's
door there.
aggressive.
He assaulted him right there because he comes back. He assaulted me and him.
I cannot leave. I'm calling 911 right now. I cannot leave. I'm calling 911 right
And
now.
then some
I'm calling
chief
911.
manager, a managing attorney,
I'm not calling.
says that because we back up to get away from the assault, now we're trespassing.
I will not call the police.
Well, we
because I
haven't
know
left the
you're-
public space at all.
Defender's office, and I was just assaulted by a man here.
Works all the public defender's office.
I agree, and you have the right to call the police.
Yeah, we have the right to be here filming too.
You also don't have the right
We
to
have the
be
right to
harassing,
be here
harassing.
filming.
What are you here for? You don't have a case. Do you
Yes,
have
he
business
does have a
here?
case.
Okay, so.
And we
can I
have a
see that?
question in regards to the $10 charge you guys
Okay,
are
so
making.
what is the
That's the
case?
case. You ask the questions, we'll answer them for you.
You're not answering, you're
Yes, we
talking
are.
in circles. You gave her a name and there's no case.
Yes, there is a case.
Okay.
You just can't find it.
Where is the what's the case number? Give me the case number so that we look up the case number.
What's the address here?
505 Marquette.
505 Marquette.
Yes. So give me the case number so I can help you with your case.
I don't need to have a case number to have a question answered and how the procedure works.
You do need to have a case
No,
number.
I do not have
Yes,
to
you
have
do.
a case. I don't
So
need
the
to
procedure
have a
is by
procedure.
statute, we require require that you come in and bring proof of income. If you qualify for public defender, we will represent you, but there is a $10 fee.
And the
If you
question
can't
that we
afford
have
the
is in
fee-
reference to the $10 fee.
Okay, go ahead and
That's
ask
why
your
you were
question.
here.
Ask your question.
Is the $10 fee by statute or policy?
By statute.
Then we requested a policy, copy of the policy.
I can waive the $10 fee if you
Then
can't
she's
afford
trying to
pay
make
it.
us
That's
look
not an
like
issue.
we're not worthy by saying that
That's
she
not
can
an
waive
issue,
it.
but you
We
need to
didn't-
have a
we're not
case.
concerned
So
about
I
it
want
being
to attach
waived.
it to a case.
I'm on the phone with 911 right now, so she needs to be able to hear me.
This is not emergent, it's more urgent. So emergent, I
So
don't think you
ma'am,
need
the
911.
staff here is trying to complicate the situation. She's trying to talk over me while I'm on the phone with you.
I'm asking him a question. He told me to ask the question and I did.
So it was a gentleman here who was actually approaching me. He tapped my paper with his paper, was very much aggressing me, and trying to tell me that, threatening me, telling me that I've got to get out of here. And so yeah, that's why I called.
That's pretty much, then the cops come.
Send somebody over.
I'm
wait a
sorry,
minute.
but she keeps trying to.
No, because the guy comes in and they keep stepping forward. When we step back, that also is assault. After I've told them a few times, they continue stepping forward as if they're going to come at me. The same as, no offense, but Daniel down in your office, he did the same thing to LETZ
Yeah.
It's all
right before you stepped out.
Because I was taking pictures of that bulletin board in the public space.
Yeah, he did. He aggressed him.
Because it also shows that you
He
are
was the one
being
2 weeks
aggressive
ago.
in our office.
I'm gonna bring him up to date on that one too.
But it's
Imagine going to the
here,
Civil Rights
so
Office to put a complaint in about being ejected from the police department in public space and being ejected from
He's
the
not a black guy.
public
I don't know.
defender's office?
Ultimately, like I said, it's on camera.
He's a client here.
Can we pause
He's a short guy.
that for a moment?
Yep.
So just to kind of recap, what I'm hearing is that there were several attempts to basically let your grievance be heard, and that you weren't basically supported in the efforts to be able to just receive the communication that you needed.
Exactly.
Instead of perhaps saying to you, okay, well, I would like a copy of the ordinance. Not that you were saying I'm declining paying for it, or you need a waiver for the $10, but you just wanted to know the protocol, how do you submit?
That's exactly
and so forth.
it.
So
Just give me a statute number.
that you just, it seems
Something.
like there's just been a few breakdowns in the communication,
No,
when
it's
you-
a little bit more than that.
Yeah.
I mean, how,
It's the camera. It's the camera. That's why this guy came out of nowhere, because he saw the camera and he came to White Knight for this
So would
lady.
it be helpful, do you feel like, in these spaces to have the policy or procedures around utilizing a camera just available so people could see it visually?
Yes, that would be helpful. Here's a problem though. Some of the policies are not statute, and some of the statutes are not constitutional. I'll give you an example. We went over to the courthouse, and they've got 3 pieces of paper taped to the desk as you walk in. No cell phones or electronic devices allowed.
unless you're a lawyer or a vendor or the FedEx guy or all this, and then at the bottom of it says credentialed media.
Yeah, credentialed. Well, what is credentialed? I'm an American. Last time I checked, the First Amendment, this is what I was going to mention to you earlier. First Amendment is right to press, right? That's one of the 5 elements, right? So if you have a right to press, I have a right to press. And everybody in this country has a right to press. Just because I'm not carrying some badge that the government issued, all of a sudden now I'm, what's this paperwork? Where's your paperwork? Where's your paperwork? That is Nazism or fascism or whatever you want to call it. Socialism at its finest. And I you know what? I will accept that our country has a slight bit of social. It's the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and our laws. That's it. Nothing more. The laws can't violate the Constitution can't violate the Declaration of Independence. And those documents, that is how our social construct is based. However, when people put out policies or statute that has been passed by some legislation, like what I saw in the courthouse about you can't press unless you ask us first. That's unconstitutional on its face. Number two is, if it is the case, and I ask for the form that's for this quote-unquote credentialed media or this permission slip, and they can't provide it to me at the desk, and they say go online, it's the same issue we ran into your office.
So I'm here to conduct business in the courthouse, and I want to go up to see the nice fancy TV screens where they show everybody's case numbers. Want to be able to copy them in case maybe I could disseminate to somebody who wouldn't have to come here and look what time their things are.
Yeah.
Let's just say, for example.
You didn't have to get in the car, drive down, and look for yourselves.
Yeah. And as far as the courts go, I do understand the need for security when it comes to certain cases, especially family court. I understand the security behind that, sacrificing that little bit of liberty, very small amount, for the security of finding the truth within these court cases. However, not the public spaces. So when I go down there to, where's it, that way or that way, whatever, the courthouse, and I can't even walk into the door to go over to the clerk of courts
To find out
about my own case. I need to document my own case. I've got this assault case where I was accused of assault. I can't even go in there. I cannot find, now where do I, it's like the same thing with the police station. Okay, well, if you don't want, I wish you would trespass
And
me.
the kicker to
I
that-
never want to go to the jail.
The kicker to that is if I call one of these city numbers and I don't let my phone number be recorded, hide my caller ID, it don't go nowhere. I called the city council's office to make my appointment for tonight's meeting. I just dial with it, because I never give out my number. Call does not go through.
Yep.
Your call will not go through. Okay, take it.
Well,
All right.
here's
Now I put my IPRA request in, and in the past, my phone number would show up on the IPRA request that I told them expressly not to put it on it.
And here's the point that I want to make, okay? The court, okay, they have bailiffs, right? When we walk in, that's not bailiffs. That's Bernalillo. That's Bernalillo Sheriff. That's the executive branch. What are they doing in the courthouse? What are they doing in the courthouse? Other than dropping off prisoners. They have no business there other than to drop off the prisoners. Why are police officers in the courthouse? That's a problem. They have bailiffs for that. And they can work together, but they don't get to sit there and be the guard. That's not the way it works. There needs to be a separation of
We
powers.
weren't even asked if we had press credentials.
Yeah, he just said, I'm going to let you read it, and then you got to go. And then after I read it, and I read the whole thing, I said, I'm going to go ahead and invoke my First Amendment, Fourth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, Sixth Amendment, Eighth Amendment, and 10th Amendment. He's all right, I'll let you read it. Now you got to go. He doesn't even know which of my rights he violated. And he did definitely violate my 14th Amendment in many, many ways, just on that one interaction. So many violations. It's absolutely ridiculous. However, I want everything to be handled in-house. If it can't be handled in-house, well, then I have to go up the ladder. And I don't want that. It's a big old city, 500,000 plus people, right? And this many residents shouldn't have to deal with the corruption, because that's what it is. It's corruption. If the sheriff's in the courthouse and the security's in the police station, where's the accountability? What's happening to this city?
So I know that we probably have to put a little earmark here.
Yeah.
And you guys have given us a lot of useful information to be able to follow up. I have your email.
That day that we got
Let's
kicked
make
out of
sure-
here,
yeah.
Doug came out, gave us both of his cards, said to give him a call later. I called him later and left a message with the secretary, because I told him that we had a city council meeting that we wanted to attend. And if we've been trespassed from here, I didn't want to come here for a city council meeting and get trespassed.
Right.
That was
Right?
the 90
But I
day
never got a
from
call, I never got a
January 3rd.
return call from him,
Yeah. So we just came here on a whim.
because I
Make
called
sure
him on
to
my
follow
landline
up.
at home. Because I thought it was and no, I haven't received any phone call. Maybe we should have called earlier. Maybe we let this fester too long. But how long am I supposed to let this fester? It's been since September 23rd. that these cops came to my house banging on the door doing some welfare check.
Yeah, in fact, that point is exactly what I'm going to speak about. I only get 2 minutes, so I'm going to try to make it count.
Make your 2 minutes count. And we don't want it to all get locked into the building and be sequestered here until tomorrow. So,
All right. Thank you so much for listening.
No, you guys were really
No
helpful.
problem.
Thank you
You know,
for
I mean, where does it end? Where does it
articulating
end?
everything.
You know what I mean?
And what was your name again?
My name's Neema.
Neema?
Neema Pickett.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
We still
So
want a
kind.
meeting
Thank you
with
so much.
Yes,
Doug and the
it's
mayor.
important.
Okay, I will follow up on that
And
request.
we want, Mayor, we've asked
I
you
wanna
how
make
many
sure you
times.
guys
We
get
want a
us.
meeting with the chief of police because we want his signed oath of office. That's another kicker. We're
Right.
hearing that these police don't sign an oath of office.
Yeah. The law says subscribe. It does not get subscribed. That's not okay. But
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
have a good day.
You going down?
Yeah.
4, right?
4 for you and the basement for us. I appreciate your time and expediting.
Did you want
that.
me to go down all the way just to make sure?
Oh, I'm not worried about it.
Okay.
We're good.
Just I should make sure.
It's,
I don't want you locked in either.
you know, some people don't.
Thank you so
Maybe
much.
we come off a little hot, but I mean, when you sat on the fire for a while, you're gonna come off a little singed.
That's part of it.
After
Well, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
your time. Have
All
a
right.
safe
Thank you.
night.
Neema.
I'll be back in touch.
Thank you.